People are scared of a lot of things, and ironically, it seems like clowns seem to be a common fear of many people. And what better way to use that than to make horror icons based off of this fear? Without question, the two biggest names in the clown killing game are Pennywise and Art the Clown. But what would happen if these two came face to face? Who's stronger and which one would win? Today we're going to be finding out who is the dominant king clown of the horror game. We'll be breaking down both their strengths and weaknesses, along with everything you need to know about them individually before they go head to head in a hypothetical battle. Before we get started, please like this video and be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos just like this one. Alright, so starting off with background and appearance, Art the Clown is the main antagonist of the Terrifier series, among a few other films before that. He comes in the form of a carnival clown, mainly with a black and white aesthetic, which is different from a lot of typical looking clowns that have a lot more color to them. With that being said, he's usually covered head to toe in blood, so technically he's got a little red to him as well. He's very slim and is super animated without ever speaking a word. He typically expresses himself through body gestures and facial expressions with a smile or an angry face, similar to a mime. With him is usually a big black trash bag in which he usually stores a variety of different weapons or dead body parts or just anything you could think of. Art is a sadistic serial killer. He's also a demented demon with a penchant for brutally slaughtering nearly anyone and everyone he encounters. The backstory of Art isn't really clear, but it assumes that he's some kind of demonic entity that symbolizes pure evil. It's assumed that he's from hell, but there's a lot of different theories that fans have about him. But at the end of the day, we can for sure boil it down to him being some kind of demonic entity in the form of a clown that symbolizes true evil. Pennywise the Clown is the main antagonist of the Stephen King novel It, along with the movies. And unlike Art, there's a solid backstory behind Pennywise, or It. As a supernatural alien creature, it arrived on Earth around the 16th century. Devoid of its usual food sources from the human world, it turned to preying on human children every 27 years. By performing it to their worst fears, it seasons the meat, enhancing their flavor. While its true form remains unknown, it often appears as a clown named Pennywise, capitalizing on the widespread fear of clowns and its own preference. This choice of disguise was inspired by a performer it observed in the 1800s. His appearance is that of a clown with red protruding hair and red clown makeup, a lot more traditional than Art. Its main motive for killing kids is mainly for survival, but it does enjoy the thrill of the hunt. He prefers to scare the victims before eating them for added flavor. Alright, so when it comes to method of killing, Art is a lot more brutal, and if you've seen any of the Terrifier movies, especially the new one, you know this is absolutely the case. His preferred method of killing and torture is through gruesome mutilation and complete dismemberment of the body. He has pretty much checked off the list for weapon usage, from hammers to saws to knives, guns, explosives, chainsaws, axes, and pretty much every single weapon known to man, even things that aren't even weapons. A few examples of his methods include sawing someone in half while they're hanging upside down, ripping someone straight in half with a chainsaw, using liquid nitrogen to freeze a man's limbs before breaking them with a hammer, and so many other gruesome kills. Art doesn't have one particular method or weapon of killing like a lot of horror icons, but is rather a jack of all trades in the most sadistic way possible. When it comes to Pennywise, his killing method varies, but it's typically much quicker compared to Art and just involves him using his teeth and usually feasting on his victims. He may bite off their hand or their head, depending. Pennywise torments and messes with his victims psychologically by using their fears against them, which is different than how Art torments his victims. But very similarly, there's not one particular weapon that Pennywise has to his disposal. When it comes to powers and abilities, the only discernible power that Art has is his ability to regenerate or be immortal to a certain degree. He has been killed before, but has always found a way to come back in different various ways. There's also some theories that say that Art has the ability to keep his victims alive longer, where otherwise they would have died, more particularly when he is torturing them. In terms of skills, he is deceptive, intelligent, and has surgical skills to some degree, and this is very apparent in the tools and the weapons that he uses. uses. Again, his background isn't fully known, but he has some kind of knowledge in how to use these different tools, and perhaps in another life somewhere he was a surgeon of some kind. Going over to Pennywise, since he's an alien of sorts, he has several strong abilities at his disposal. He has the power of photokinesis, psychic powers, mind control, physical illusion, shape-shifting, regeneration, and teleportation within limits, just to name a few. And this is very apparent when you watch the movie that he's in. He can manipulate and get into the heads of his victims, making them see things that aren't really there, and possessing them to do things they don't even want to do. When it comes down to invulnerability, since it is not really a physical entity, it can never really be killed or harmed. The only way to truly have a leg up on Pennywise is to perform the ritual of Chud, which involves two multiversal beings. Pennywise is extremely powerful and cunning, and his list of abilities is quite long. Alright, so when it comes down to weaknesses, even with his seemingly unkillable persona, Art does have some weaknesses that are subtly portrayed in the franchise. For one, Art is pretty cowardly when it comes down to being in a bind. In the first movie, when he's cornered by two police officers, he decides to shoot himself instead of facing them. This was later revealed that he did this before he even knew he could be resurrected, and that was confirmed by the director. Another instance is when Sienna gets the upper hand on him. He becomes panicked or tends to try and cheat his way out when his victims turn the tables on him. When face to face with Pennywise, it's unknown how he might react. Speaking of Pennywise, funny enough, he also struggles with the same kind of cowardice. When confronted, it tends to retreat and fall back. It also doesn't plan things out so thoroughly, and that just ends up being its downfall as well. It is more of a chaotic evil, similar to Art. Specific to Pennywise, he falls when those against him band together. The Losers Club defeats him by coming together and fighting him as a unit. Come to think of it, the same strategy could probably easily work against Art the Clown as well. And if you saw It Chapter 2, you understand that this thing isn't fully invincible and can be beaten to some degree. There you have it, the breakdown of our two horror icons. So now we're going to see what happens when they come face to face. In this portion of the video, I'm going to break down a hypothetical fight using all the information, the strengths, the weaknesses, the abilities, and everything that we know. There's a million different ways this could go down, but this is my personal interpretation of how it would occur. But let me know below what you guys think and how this would go on. Picture this. The battleground for these two would be some kind of an abandoned school or train station, since that's where you would most likely find Art roaming around, and it's creepy and dark enough for Pennywise to use as his battleground as well. Think flickering lights and old newspapers rolling around in the dark subway station. On a physical level, Art would have quite a bit of weapons and tools straight at his disposal to use in his bag. We're talking chainsaws, knives, hammers, and all the good stuff. As Art is strolling along as he does, this is where Pennywise would strike. Pennywise would most likely try to get into Art's head and use his fears against him. The only problem is that I don't think Art has any fears, as he is the embodiment of evil. Without the level of vulnerability, Pennywise has to use his powers as they are, just stock vanilla. Pennywise could shapeshift into the little pale girl from Terrifier 2, or Victoria, his sort of companion in the third movie, for those who don't know. This would disarm Art at first, giving Pennywise the leg up initially. Perhaps he could go in for a bite, or tear off Art's arm, or something in which Art would probably fight back with a knife or axes, slashing at Pennywise. Unfortunately though, Pennywise could easily avoid this, and could probably just teleport around to attack Art and dodge his attacks, since Pennywise does have a teleportation ability. This would really depend on Art getting the leg up on Pennywise somehow. But with the wide variety of abilities that Pennywise has, it'd be pretty tough for Art to compete in this battle. I could also see a world where Art takes out a gun and shoots Pennywise, because that is something comedic that Art would do. Pennywise though, I'm not sure if that would do anything to him, but he might be able to do some damage if he does it when he least expects it. The two would most likely go at it, but given their cowardly ways, when cornered, one of them would probably be bound to escape or try to run away. When all is said and done though, I think it would be Art who would either be killed or make his cowardly escape. Pennywise simply has too many abilities and powers in his disposal, and since Art can't even say anything or mouth anything at all, it's doubtful that Art would even be able to come up against a fully equipped Pennywise, even with all the physical weapons at his disposal. They both embody evil, but only one of them can go deep into the mind of the victim and makes them see things that they aren't actually seeing and easily get the upper hand. For this reason alone, Pennywise wins this fight as the superior clown of evil. Although I will say though, I like Art more than Pennywise as a character. I think he brings a lot of charm, a lot more than does Pennywise. So for that reason, I think I would give the charm award to Art. But when it comes down to physical fighting, who's gonna kill the other one, I think it goes without saying that Pennywise would most likely take the cake on that. But do you guys agree? Or do you think the fight would go a lot differently? Let me know below, and if you like this video, please be sure to let me know which matchups you want to see going forward on the channel. I do want to make this into a series of some kind. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Thank you very much for watching. All the support is always greatly appreciated, and enjoy your Halloweens.